Hare Krishna, and a very warm welcome to every one of you to today's session. India Heritage Foundation London extends a warm welcome to all of you. Let's begin by invoking blessings of Srila Prabhupada and Panchatattva. The Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. When we are chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, when all of us are doing a japa, we do the Panchatattva mantra. And it starts with Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. So Lord Nityananda, his activities and his pastimes are discussed to some detail in the scripture called as Chaitanya Charitamrita. And who is this Nityananda Prabhu? He is described by Narottam Das Thakur as Balaram Hoilo Nitai, Sachisuta Sai Krishna. This is in one of the compositions of Narottam Das Thakur. He says, Vrajendra Nandana Ye, Sachisuta Hoilo Sai, Balaram Hoilo Nitai, which means he is confirming the identity of Nitai Gauranga, or Nityananda Prabhu, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is also known as Gauranga. And who are these personalities? It is said, Vrajendra Nandana Ye. Lord Krishna is also known as Vrajendra Nandana, one who was the most beloved of all the Vrajavasis. Vrajendra Nandana. He was a delight of Vrindavan. Vrajendra Nandana. That is Lord Krishna. Yea, Sachi Suta Hoilo Sai. Sachi Suta. Sachi Mata is the mother of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. She is, so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is known as Sachi Suta. As Sachi Suta, Vrajendra Nandana Yea, Sachi Suta Hoilo Sai. The same Lord Krishna has appeared as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as Sachi Suta. And who is Nityananda Prabhu? It is said, Balaram Hoilo Nitai. Lord Balaram has incarnated as Nityananda Prabhu. And in his incarnation, Nityananda Prabhu, he took part in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission of distributing the holy name far and wide. He's a very, very magnanimous personality. and we will hear more about him in the coming sessions. And today we will, before we get started with the Bhagavad Gita verse, given that we have the appearance day of Lord Nityananda Prabhu coming very soon, let us remember, let us offer a small prayer, and let us reminisce the wonderful qualities and activities of Nityananda Prabhu as composed by Narottam Das Thakur. This is very famously known as Nitai Pada Kamala. Nitai Pada Kamala, Koti Chandra Sushitala. After a very a tiresome day, after working the whole day, sitting under the moonshine is very, very relaxing. It's very soothing. So somebody who takes shelter of Nityananda Prabhu, he attains the effect, the same feeling as though one is basking under Koti Chandra Sushitala, under crores and crores of moons when they come together and they bestow their coolness upon a jiva. How much relief that you will get, how much bliss that you will feel. That is the mercy that Nityananda Prabhu bestows upon anyone who takes his shelter. So with that, let's get started. Let us absorb ourselves in meditating on Nityananda Prabhu as glorified by Narottam Das Thakur, one of our Purvacharya. Nitai Pada Kamala, Koti Chandra Sushitala, Yethayaya Jagata Juda. Nitai Pada Kamala, Koti Chandra Sushitala, Yethayaya Jagata Juda. Nitai Pada Kamala, Koti Chandra Sushitala, Yechayaya Jagata Juda. Eno Nitai Bine Bhai, Radha Krishna Paite Na. Eno Nitai Bine Bhai, Radha Krishna Paite Na. Drida Kori Dharo Nitai Pa. Drida Kori Dharo Nitai Pa. Nitai Pada Kamala, Koti Chandra Sushitala, Ichayaya Jagata Juda. Te sambandhana hi jaan, vritha janma gelo taas. Te sambandhana hi jaan, vritha janma gelo taas. Te pashu bado durachar. Sei pashu bado durachar. Nitai na bolilo mukhe, majilo samsar sukhe. Nitai na bolilo mukhe, majilo samsar sukhe. Vidya kule ki kori beta. Vidya kule ki kori beta. Nitai Pada Kamala, Koti Chandra Sushitala, Yechayaya Jagata Juda. Ahankara Hoya, Nitai Pada Pasariya. Ahankara Matta Hoya, Nitai Pada Pasariya. Asatyera Satya Korimani. Satyera Satya Korimani. Nitaera Karuna Be, Braje Radha Krishna Pabe. Nitaera Karuna Pabe, Braje Radha Krishna Pabe. Dharo Nitai Charana Dukhani. Dharo Nitai Charana Dukhani. निताय पाद कमला कोटि चंद्र सुशीतला ये छाया जगत जुड़ाई निताय पाद कमला कोटि चंद्र सुशीतला ये छाया जगत जुड़ाई नितायेरा चरण सत्या ताहारा सेवक नित्य नितायेरा चरण सत्या ताहारा सेवक नित्य निताय पद सदा करो आशा निताय पद सदा करो आशा नरोत्तम बड़ दुखी निताय मोरे करो सुखी नरोत्तम बड़ दुखी निताय मोरे करो सुखी राखो रंगा चरणेर पाशा राखो रंगा चरणेर पाशा निताय पाद कमला कोटि चंद्र सुशीतला ये छाया जगत जुड़ाई निताय पाद कमला कोटि चंद्र सुशीतला ये छाया जगत जुड़ाई जय वैष्णव ठाकुर जय नरोत्तम दास जय वैष्णव ठाकुर जय नरोत्तम दास वैष्णव ठाकुर जय नरोत्तम दास जय 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 राधा कृष्ण चंद्र राधे जय राधा कृष्ण चंद्र राधे जय कृष्ण बलराम वृंदावन धाम जय कृष्ण बलराम जय वृंदावन धाम जय गौरानिताय जय गौरानिताय जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय गुरुदेव प्रभुपाद नित्यानंद प्रभु की जय। हरिनाम संकीर्तन महायज्ञ की जय। हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। गौर प्रेमानंदी। हरे कृष्णा।
हरे कृष्णा।
Let's get started with the verse for the day. Just sharing the screen with all of you. I hope this is visible and yes. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita, second chapter, entitled Contents of the Gita Summarized, verse number 22. Vasamsi jirnani yata vihaya navani grinati naroparani tatha sharirani vihaya jirnani anyani samyati navani dehi. Vasamsi jirnani yata vihaya navani grinati naroparani तथा शरीराणि विहाय जीर्णानि अन्यानि संयाति नवानि देहि वासांसि जीर्णानि यथा विहाय नवानि गृह्णाति नरोपराणि तथा शरीराणि विहाय जीर्णानि अन्यानि संयाति नवानि देहि. Would you like to try?
Shall I try, Prabhuji? Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
वांसासि जीर्णानि यथा विहाय नवानि गृह्णाति नरोपराणि तथा शरीराणि विहाय जीर्णानि अन्यानि संयाति नवानि देहि.
Thank you.
I'll try, Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji. Thanks.
Vasamsi jirnani yatha vihaya navani granati naroparani tatha sharirani vihaya jirnani anyani samyati navani dehi.
Thank you.
I will try.
Anybody else would like to? Yes, Vasant, go ahead.
Yeah. Vasamsi jirnani yatha vihaya navani grinhati naroparani tatha sharirani vihaya jirnani anyani samyati navani dehi.
Thank you. Synonyms. Vasamshi, garments. Jirnani, old and worn out. Yatha, as it is. Vihaya, giving up. Navani, new garments. Grinati, does accept. Naraha, a man. Aparani, other. Tatha, in the same way. Sharirani, bodies. Vihaya, giving up. Jirnani, old and useless. Anyani, different. Samyati, verily accepts. Navani, new sets. Dehi, the embodied. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Jai Shri Prabhupada. Translation. As a person puts on new garments, giving up old ones, similarly the soul accepts new material bodies, giving up the old and useless ones. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Change of body by the atomic individual soul is an accepted fact. Even some of the modern scientists who do not believe in the existence of the soul, but at the same time cannot explain the source of energy from the heart, have to accept continuous changes of body which appear from childhood to boyhood and from boyhood to youth and again from youth to old age. From old age, the change is transferred to another body. This has already been explained in the previous verse. Transference of the atomic individual soul to another body is made possible by the grace of the super soul. The super soul fulfills the desire of the atomic soul as one friend fulfills the desire of another. The Vedas, like the Mundaka Upanishad as well as Shvetashvatara Upanishad, compare the soul and the super soul to two friendly birds sitting on the same tree. One of the birds, the individual atomic soul, is eating the fruit of the tree, and the other bird, Krishna, is simply watching his friend. Of these two birds, although they are the same in quality, one is captivated by the fruits of the material tree, while the other is simply witnessing the activities of his friend. Krishna is the witnessing bird and Arjuna is the eating bird. Although they are friends, one is still the master and the other is servant. Forgetfulness of this relationship by the atomic soul is the cause of one's changing his position from one tree to another or from one body to another. The Jiva soul is struggling very hard on the tree of the material body. But as soon as he agrees to accept the other bird as a supreme spiritual master, as Arjuna agreed to do by voluntary surrender unto Krishna for instruction, the subordinate bird immediately becomes free from all lamentations. Both Katha Upanishad and Shvetashvatara Upanishad confirm this. Samane vrikshe purusho nimagno Anishaya shochati muhyamanaha dushtam yada pashyat anyam ishamasya mahimanam iti vita shokaha. Although the two birds are in the same tree, the eating bird is fully engrossed with anxiety and moroseness as the enjoyer of the fruits of the tree. But if in some way or other he turns his face to his friend who is the Lord and knows his glories, at once the suffering bird becomes free from all anxiety. Arjuna has now turned his face towards his eternal friend Krishna and is understanding the Bhagavad Gita from him. And thus, hearing from Krishna, he can understand the supreme glories of the Lord and be free from lamentation. Arjuna is advised herewith by the Lord not to lament for the bodily change of his old grandfather and his teacher. He should rather be happy to kill their bodies in the righteous fight so that they may be cleansed at once of all reactions from various bodily activities. One who lays down his life on the sacrificial altar or in the proper battlefield is at once cleansed of bodily reactions and promoted to a higher status of life. So there was no cause for Arjuna's lamentation. We are seeing lately in the news about many world leaders warning about a war that can break out. This is the situation that is unfolding in Ukraine, and you're all familiar. Let me share this with you. Just wondering how this is. I forget this is to be. Slide. Oh, this is not the regular PowerPoint, and I'm wondering how I can. Yeah, this is the one. Okay, slideshow. Yeah. Yeah. So what we know from the news is about a buildup of around 100,000 soldiers, 100,000 soldiers near the border, and Russian soldiers, and we have many countries from the NATO, US, UK, and others sounding alarm that there can be a war that's impending. And here are some pictures of the buildup that's happening. It's a cold country. It's snowing. It's not much of value, but then it's becoming a. The tensions are rising around the world around this tract of land. This is Ukraine. UK, US, they're sending their army, their weapons, and trying to reinforce the Ukraine soldiers. And there, locally, the civilians are also getting ready for the war. They are being imparted lessons how to handle AK-47 and be in the trenches and so on. So we can see this is one example, and then there are many, many examples like this. The understanding of nationalism is unfortunately based on a misplaced understanding of the truth. I'm thinking I'm an Indian. I'm thinking I'm a Russian. And somebody is thinking I'm Ukrainian. And somebody else is thinking this is my land and you cannot come into my land. And that was, there are so many discussions about it formerly belonged to them. And now they are saying you should not join the other side. So many, anyway, we will leave the details aside. But this mentality of identifying that this land belongs, I belong to this land, identifying with the, and this is primarily the concept of nationalism. And like this, there are so many isms. All of this are based on a primary identification with the fact that we belong to this country and this is my country. The this is exactly what Krishna is trying to clarify in the Bhagavad Gita through these verses by imparting this Rajavidya, the king of all education, to Arjuna by helping him understand that you are momentarily in this body. You do not belong to this body. You are here for some time. And after some time, you will change and you'll enter into another body. Now you're thinking you are Russian. Next life, you'll be born in US. Now you're thinking you're an American. Next life, you'll be born in China. You do not know. You are going on changing. That is not your real identity. You're only temporarily present in this identity. So, instead of educating people to identify with their real identity, that they are a spirit soul and they belong to Krishna, and everyone is a spirit soul. And if people were to conduct based on this understanding of their real identity, the whole affairs of the world will be so different. Because we have identified with the body, and I'm thinking, I am Russian, he is American, I don't like this person, you should not come to my place, go away. This is just like one dog saying, don't come here, this is my territory. If you come here, I will bark, I will bite. And then, these cats and dogs, they all mark their territory, and they're very fierce about protecting their territorial borders. This is the same mentality, just like what animals have. Human beings are also having the same mentality. They may be fighting for their territory with their claws and their teeth and making a growling sound. And these people are doing the same thing, using machine guns, using space arms, using some tanks and artillery and so on. Otherwise, there is no difference in the mentality. The same. It is the same animal mentality of identifying with one's. With one's. It all begins with. It begins with the identity that I am this body, and because this body is born in this land, therefore I belong to this land. I am. So we have strong attachment, strong sentiments to our place of birth. It is natural, but this is not a understanding of a person in knowledge. A person in knowledge does not identify because and this is exactly what Krishna is saying here, that you are only here for, and look at this wonderful analogy which Krishna is presenting to help us understand. In such simple logic. Everybody has got experience. When we get up in the morning, we change our clothes, we take our shower, and then we put on new clothes. Everybody does this. It is exactly the same way. At the end of this body, we give up this body and enter into another body. Same thing. And this is happening life after life after life. So why am I being so attached to what is that this is me, this is my body? No, this is you. This is just a journey. You're just here for a while. Now you are in this country, tomorrow you'll be in some other planet, tomorrow you'll be in we have, enmity, India, Pakistan, Russia, and US, and the NATO, and the Russia. Now Russia is tying up with China. He paid a visit during the Winter Olympics to gather some support. So this is, of course, the world affairs will require some amount of systems in place to facilitate people's movement from one geography to another geography. That's a different thing. But because the foundation is based on the concept of identifying with the body, that brings in all kinds of the ramification of this understanding results in conflicts and disagreement, quarrel. It must be there because so long one is not situated in proper understanding, he will always think that he is separate and the other person is separate. They always have this separatist mentality. They have been trying for so many decades, and what a failure. This United Nations. What United Nations? Where is unity? constantly fighting, constantly so many differences. In every country, there are so many calls for uh, 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 separate state, separate countries. They want to form, they want to be. This is the nature of this material world and Kali Yuga, and these things cannot be sorted. They may come up with all kinds of very nice, flowery, universal brotherhood, universal fraternity. All that cannot happen on a platform of bodily concept. You cannot expect universal brotherhood when the society is at an animal platform. Dogs between a bunch of a pack of dogs, you can't expect them to be united because they are of that mentality. One has to elevate himself. If one is present on the platform of Brahman, on this platform which Krishna is trying to bring Arjuna to, because a person who is situated on Brahman platform, what is his vision? His vision is Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavihastini Shuniche Shupake Cheva Pandita Samadarshina. Pandita Samadarshina. His vision is equal. He does not distinguish. He does not distinguish between Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavihastini Shunicha Shupake Cheva. He does not distinguish between a human being, a Brahmana, or a cow, or a dog, or a dog eater. He sees all of them are spirit souls in different journeys. Somebody is in the body of a dog, somebody is in the body of a Brahmana, somebody is in the body of an elephant. They're all part and parcel of Krishna. And he tries to do welfare for all of them. Not that I only work for my countrymen, your country people, you go to hell. And even in my country, I don't give any respect to the animals in my country. They are meant to be killed for my palate. All this is coming from bodily concept. Now, let's move on to some other news which is coming on the forefront, which will help us to understand this better. This is, you're all familiar. These are some famous pictures which circulated in the month of December 2021, towards the end of December. This was the verdict being announced to the police officer, Kim Potter. She was found guilty of manslaughter of this young Dante Wright. You can see him here. He's there in the picture. He was, there was some traffic offense and he was trying to escape. And this lady, she had she was trying to tase him, and by mistake, she shot him, and it was fatal, and he died. And all this was happening around the time, and you know this picture is the famous incident which happened in 2020 May of this is Derek Chauvin, the police officer in Minneapolis, and he is kneeling on George Floyd, and George Floyd said, "I can't breathe," and he died, and that sparked a worldwide Black Lives Matter and anti-racism uprising in the US, which was never seen since the times of the civil rights movement, which was happening many decades back. For the first time, there was so much of opposition, and while the trial of Derek Chauvin was going on in the same Minneapolis court, this incident of Dante Wright happened, wherein Kim Potter was found guilty, and there was again so much of commotion, and trial went on, and finally she was found guilty. So, and these are all some pictures. We can see anti-racism movement happening all over the world. Happened in London also. Happened in every country. Black Lives Matter. Yeah. So we can see, because somebody is identifying, I am white, so I am superior, or you are black, or you're Nietzsche, you are useless fellow. So why this identification? Again, the same thing. It is coming from a very fundamental misunderstanding. I am identifying with my body. I'm thinking I'm a white man or I'm a white woman, and this person is a black man, is a black woman. Why? I identify with my body and I think others are their body. This is called the bodily concept. And this is exactly what Krishna is saying. Why are you identifying with the body? Your grandfather, Arjuna, your grandfather and your teacher are not their bodies. They will get relief from their bodily activities if you engage in this war. He's encouraging them, fight and kill them. And then they will be, once they're freed by from all their reactions which they performed, and if they give up their lives in this righteous war, this dharma yuddha, then they will attain a great future ahead. Don't hesitate, please fight. This is what exactly Krishna is saying. Because we are not educated in this fundamentals, this is ABCD of spiritual life. This basic understanding that we are not this body, we are a passenger in the body, we are the spirit soul, we belong to Krishna. This is a temporary, because we are not educated in this, we are ending up with so many miseries, so much of suffering people are undergoing because of this lack of this understanding. We saw many places here in the UK, people who were affiliated with slavery, we are affiliated with racism, their statues being pulled down in Liverpool and some other places, and so much of commotion. And so many people coming up with testimonials of how they were being abused, how they had to undergo, how they were victims of racism. All this. Why this is happening? It is avoidable. But unfortunately, nobody is able to understand the root cause of the problem. Whatever reforms you may bring in, whatever kind of changes you may bring in with respect to making the laws more stricter, making the punishment more stricter, but unless people are elevated to the spiritual platform, they will always have bias. They will always make discrimination. And these problems will continue in one or the other way. Many leaders acknowledged about how the systems are all rooted in racist bias. Canada's Prime Minister, Justin, he also made the same. He acknowledged, yes, we need to undergo reforms. Yes, you cannot put an end to these things because it is coming from a fundamental misidentification of one's identity. So when many people have made comments about they're trying to talk about how education is not really helping people in becoming civilized. One person said there are two types of education. One which teaches you how to make a living. So you get trained. You get trained as a doctor. You get trained as an engineer, as a lawyer, as a manager in whatever. You get trained how to make a living. And the other education is about how to live your life. Unfortunately, there's nobody imparting this education. The understanding of the basic. This is actually ABCD of spiritual understanding, of trying to appreciate. In fact, in the words of the acharyas, the modern education is like a slaughterhouse. Why it is a slaughterhouse? There is a very nice analogy given. A goat is pulled to a butcher shop. And in the butcher shop, the butcher has kept some nice green grass and he's feeding that goat. And that goat is thinking, oh, I'm so happy. I've got nice grass. I will munch on that grass and I'll enjoy my life. I'll be happy in life. Oh, this is so nice. So, enta sukha. So the goat is thinking like that. But the goat doesn't know. Any moment that butcher will pull that goat, and with his knife kill him. Goat doesn't know. Goat is not able to anticipate. He is not able to see. Before me, one more goat was drawn, and it was chopped and sent away. Now next is my turn. Doesn't understand. So he does not prepare for death. He's not able to if it was a human being, he will scream, he will shout, he will know, oh, where I'm in a butcher shop and I'm going to be killed next. How can he be peaceful? How can he be enjoying that grass and be oblivious of the danger what is coming ahead? You cannot, because you know what is going on. So a person who is awake, who is awakened, Jagrita, Uttishta Jagrita Prapya Varan Nibodhata. It is said, Athato Brahmajig. Now that you've got a human form of life, wake up. Try to see what are the real problems of your life. Do something about it. Try to stop this problem of birth and death. What is this? You're thinking that this life is all in all. You'll have one more body, then one more body. As long as you have a body, whether it is body in a body in a very aristocratic family, or body in a poverty-stricken family, or body in heavenly planets, as long as a body, it is suffering. Brahma bhuvana loka punaravartino Arjuna. Krishna is saying, Brahma bhuvana loka. From the topmost planet of Brahma Loka to the lowest planet in this creation, everywhere this problem of repeated birth and death exists. So an intelligent person should endeavor to solve this problem. What you are busy with doing, solving so many other things, you're uselessly wasting your time. So this is this kind of so an education which does not prepare a person to solve his real problems is simply useless education. It's a slaughterhouse. Simply people are like a goat is getting dragged, they're getting butchered, their whole life, this most precious human form of life is getting wasted. Nobody is doing anything about it. How can somebody, if you call yourself as leader, you call yourself as somebody who is very responsible, you should be concerned if others are not able to take advantage of this understanding, this knowledge. You cannot be happy when others are lying ignorant. Do something to help them. So this was the spirit in which Prabhupada presented. And actually it is a fact, except for this Hare Krishna movement, there is no one talking about the proper understanding of who we are, helping people appreciate their real identity. Simply they're living life like animals and getting butchered. Oh, again one more life. Again go on. Let's continue from that. I have something more to show. I was going through the most popular news in the BBC. This is amongst the top 3. This news about Prince Andrew. Constantly they're giving updates. What's happening? This is Virginia Giffey and Prince Andrew. So this lady you're all familiar. She has filed a sex assault case on Prince Andrew. She's based out of US and he's here in the UK. That this person had assaulted her when she was 18 years old. And this has caught the national media. And you can see it because he's not an ordinary person. This Prince Andrew, who is now embroiled in this sex scandal, he's the son of the Queen, who is observing her Platinum Jubilee celebrations. And just a day before that, on the eve of her celebration, this Prince Andrew is going to the court. They're going to have some hearing around that. So it's a very embarrassing situation which the royal family is facing. And he's already stripped of his royal titles. And that means he would not be using his Royal Highness when he's going to be part of public occasions. And his responsibilities as a duke and so many other things have been more changed. So it's very unfortunate what is happening to Prince Andrew. And there are many lessons for us to learn with respect to today's verse. A person Again, coming back to the same, a person who is not able to appreciate such beautiful uh, and so eloquently, in such simple way that Krishna is presenting the proper understanding of who we are. If a person is not able to appreciate, what will be the result? The result will be he will identify with his body, and he thinks that enjoying his body and his bodily senses is the goal of life. So everybody is doing that. Everybody's goal is how to enjoy their senses to the maximum. This is how an animal thinks. Ahara, nidra, bhaya, maitunam. Eating, sleeping, sex life, ahara, nidra, bhaya, and defense. Eating, sleeping, defense, and sex life. This is what a conditioned soul is all his activities can be rounded up into these four things. This is what he's doing. This is what an animal is doing. And a man is a polished animal. Animal is running on 4 legs, man is moving on 4 wheels, but activities are same. Animal is eating ahara. Animal is also eating whatever food is available on the ground, in the bin, garbage, wherever. He'll pick up some food and he will eat. In the jungle, wherever he'll get food, he'll eat. Man is also doing the same thing. He may be eating on a nice dinner table with chandelier and nice candle lamp, and in a more polished and sophisticated way. But same, eating is same thing. Animal also doing the same thing. Sleeping. Animal sleep, you're also sleeping. You may have a very nice bedroom now, so air-conditioned room and this and that, but sleeping is sleeping. Animals also have families. They also have children. They also have sex life. Human being is also having sex life. He's also having family, children. What is the difference? And then defense. They have defense. They growl. They use nails. You also do defense. You have bank balance, you have insurance, you have your defense, your army, your air force, same thing, defense. You're also doing defense. So, ahara nidra bhaya maitunam cha samane metat pashubir naranam. Buddhihi eko adhiko vishesho buddhihi naha pashubir samana. It is said, there is no difference between a human being and an animal. They're all doing the same thing. Ahara nidra bhaya maitunam cha samane metat. Samane means same activities, human being and animal, no difference. Buddhihi eko adhiko vishesha buddhihi naha pashubir samana. But the uniqueness of a human being is he has got a higher intelligence to understand make some basic inquiries about who am I? Where was I before I was born? What happens to me after I die? Why is it that I don't pray for miseries, but they're forced on me? Why? Why there are so many different types of living entities? There are trees, there are birds, there are insects. Why? Why this creation exists? This is intelligence. This inquiries animals cannot make. Human beings can make. A person who does not make these inquiries, trying to understand his problems of life, solving the problems of life, he is no better than buddhihinaha pashubir. One who does not exercise this higher intelligence, he is no better than an animal. And what does animal do? The same thing I'm a human being. So this prince, it's not his fault, unfortunately. There was nobody to guide him. Nobody has told him what is the real goal of life. Nobody has been able to, he has not received this proper education. So like everyone else, especially when we have wealth and we have power, then people indulge in their senses unlimitedly. As much as possible, because they think this is the goal of life, how to maximize your sense enjoyment. And there is no limitation of money, power for this person. So he's indulged in so many things, and now things are coming up. So many people are filing cases against him. And now as a result of this, there is embarrassment, there is humiliation, there is so much of suffering. He's also suffering, they are suffering. So many things. So, a person who identifies that he does not belong to the body, then he works for the interest of his real self. If I think I am this body, then I will think how to satisfy the body. How to satisfy the body? Eat nicely. Do all my senses I want to satisfy to the maximum extent, because I think I am this body. So I should, I think pleasure of the senses is my happiness. And this is exactly what Krishna is saying. No, 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 this is not your happiness. This is the cause of your suffering. Yehi samsparshaja bhoga dukkha yonaya evate adyantavanta kaunteya. This, when the senses come in touch with sense objects, you may feel yehi samsparshaja bhoga, but actually it is the cause of your suffering. Dukkha yonaya eva, it is the cause of suffering. Now you can see he's suffering now. And this is experience everybody will go through. We all have experienced of this. He's not some special example. Everybody has gone through this example. In one or the other way, we have experienced this. Dukkha yonaya evate adyantavanta kaunteya nateshu ramate buddha. Those who are intelligent people, they do not delight in such enjoyment, such happiness. Nateshu because they identify such pleasures have a beginning and end. Sense enjoyment has a beginning and end. Sense enjoyment is available even for the stool-eating hog. Nayam deho deha bhajam nirloke kashtan kaman vidbujamye. Kashtan kaman arhate vidbujamye. Even a stool-eating hog is having full facility for sense enjoyment. Human life is not meant for this activity, which is there for every animal has got this facility for sense enjoyment. What is so special about your body? You are not meant for this purpose. You are meant for tapo divyam putraka yena sattam yashmad brahma saukyam tonam. You are meant for realizing the absolute truth, realizing yourself, your real identity. And in that process, you experience brahma saukyam tonantam anantam ananta saukyam ananta sukha. You experience unlimited bliss. This is what you are entitled to. This is your happiness. As a soul, this is what is your enjoyment. You should endeavor for that, not for this bodily enjoyment, which even a stool-eating hog is also getting. That is not your happiness. So because this education is not available, and because we have nothing else, we have no guidance on better activities in life, we are simply absorbed in sense enjoyment till one dies. A 75-year-old man, he's paying 50 pounds to go to one strip club to see a bottomless and topless, bottomless woman. This is his happiness. After 70 years in his life, he has not learned anything about what is his purpose of his life. And even till the last breath, he thinks this is enjoyment. This is what his life should be. And these are civilized people. So it is very sad. It's very unfortunate how the society is so misguided. And Krishna is saying in very simple words, he's presenting. If somebody takes this message seriously, they can first of all become free from lamentation, as Prabhupada is mentioning in the purport. As Krishna as a witnesser, there are two birds, and now that Arjuna has begun to hear from Krishna, he will be soon free from all lamentation. So long one is on this dehatma buddhi, means bodily concept, he can never be free. He can never be free from anxiety and lamentation. No way. He'll be harassed. So these are some of the things that we can infer to some extent from this verse. And before we move on with Japa, I'm very pleased to share with all of you that we are blessed with the association of a wonderful devotee who is my very dear god brother, His Grace Mahasta Chaitanya Prabhu. Hare Krishna Prabhu. Welcome to our program, India Heritage Foundation London's Gita for Life session. It's such a pleasure to have you. Prabhu is serving in ISKCON Bangalore for the last nearly 15 years. He's been serving in the mission. Currently, he's part of the public relations team. And today, he's very kindly agreed to share with us and enlighten us on some wonderful pastimes of Srila Prabhupada to help us appreciate Srila Prabhupada, who has given us very kindly this Bhagavad Gita as it is, which we are trying to understand on a weekly basis. Over to you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. From my end, I hope you are able to hear me.
Yes. I think there was a little disturbance, but now it's getting better.
Okay, so I thought of two pastimes, but one is a very small and very short and quick pastime I will just share because I am interacting with the devotees who are in UK. So I thought a short pastime about Srila Prabhupada there in London, and it's a recollection. In fact, it's an anecdote of what Srila Prabhupada had in London. So this happened in Bhaktivedanta Manor, and Srila Prabhupada on a Sunday evening, just like here, what we are Sunday morning, you're all gathered here. So Sunday evening, Srila Prabhupada was in Bhaktivedanta Manor, sitting in his room with disciples and a few guests. And a woman reporter had come to interview Prabhupada. So the reporter seemed to be very skeptical. She had her doubts about what it is, what this ISKCON and these shaven-headed people are all about. And she was skeptical, and her questions were like that. So, but Srila Prabhupada, nonetheless, very expertly and very coolly, he was answering all her questions. So in the end, she came up with a question, and in a very arrogant, challenging mood. Why do you people have bald heads? She asked Srila Prabhupada, why do you people have bald heads? So Srila Prabhupada noticed that the lady, despite it being a winter and it was a very cold weather, she was wearing a mini skirt. So Prabhupada noticed that, and immediately he replied that, why do you have bare legs? Then the reporter was taken aback, and then Prabhupada said, better to have a cool head and warm legs. That's why we have shaved our head. So it was a humorous way of Prabhupada putting the answer. So Prabhupada always knew expertly, of course, it was not to hurt her or anything. Even she laughed at that joke, and then the atmosphere lightened up. So Srila Prabhupada always knew how to handle difficult, challenging questions and also make it light, at the same time drive home the point. And one important pastime I would like to share, which also shows Srila Prabhupada's vision of how he looked at the world. So this was in Australia. Srila Prabhupada had arrived in Australia, in Melbourne, and perhaps it was his first visit after the Krishna consciousness movement had taken a good shape. So there, a lot of devotees had already taken up Krishna consciousness, and there was a grand reception for Prabhupada in Melbourne. So Prabhupada was received very well. In fact, some of you might have seen the videos of Srila Prabhupada landing in the airport, and how the devotees received there. And then there was press also gathered, and they all asked Prabhupada some questions, and there was a lot of newspaper coverage, and Prabhupada, devotees had arranged a Rolls Royce for Prabhupada. So Prabhupada, very royally, he was taken from the airport to the temple. And some of the press followed the devotees to the temple as well. And in the evening temple program, Prabhupada gave a Bhagavad Gita class. Even that, some press reporters were attending. So they attended, they covered the entire event. So the devotees were eager to see what would be the reports on the next day in the various newspapers. So when they saw the next day's morning newspapers, most of the press was covering a negative content. They had criticized Srila Prabhupada. They were saying that, how they are leading a very lavish lifestyle. It all looks very artificial, and such kind of coverage was there. And at that time, devotees felt a little disappointed. And the worst coverage came by one newspaper called The Sun. And they had covered with the headline. The headline was, I will just read the very, he had said the headline, Krishna sect founder, that is Srila Prabhupada, says, I will return as an animal. So this was it seemed to be very disrespectful headline. And they said that His Divine Grace E.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada is resigned to dying soon and return into the earth as an animal. So when the devotees read this, they felt very bad. They thought, one of the devotees decided, I am going to write a letter to the editor, defending Srila Prabhupada's stand and asking them that they should apologize and all these things. So devotees were getting ready. And some devotees thought, Prabhupada should not see this. So they wanted to hide the newspaper and all. So Prabhupada went on his morning walk and then he came back, and then morning there was a Bhagavatam class. So then Prabhupada is giving the class, and when Prabhupada is giving the Bhagavatam class, in the course of the class directly, so he was making a philosophical point, and in the course of making the philosophical point, Prabhupada said, at the moment, I may be working as an American or a European or an Australian, but this is a temporary body. This body is temporary. As soon as this body is finished, I will begin another chapter of beauty. Suppose this life I am a human being, next life I may not be a human being. Next life I may be an animal. Prabhupada repeated that statement, and then Prabhupada paused and looked at all the devotees and he said, this statement was not very much liked by the newspaper man. So Prabhupada was telling that how it was in the previous evening's class, Prabhupada was making the same point, and where Prabhupada was saying that in the next life you may become an animal. So the newspaper man, he wanted to report something in a very bad way. So he had put it in Prabhupada's name. So Prabhupada said, he has told that next life you can become animal. So he has published in my name. The Swami can become an animal. So instead of making it a general statement, he has put the Swami can return. So Prabhupada said, so that is not wrong. But we devotees are not afraid of becoming animals. Our only ambition is that we become Krishna conscious. So the animals, cows who are Krishna conscious, they are better. Better we should become an animal of Krishna. So Prabhupada went on explaining that, and then Prabhupada ended the class by saying that actually there is nothing wrong. In fact, whatever the newspaper has printed, it doesn't matter. Because in the newspaper, you hear so much news, but if you hear something about Krishna, that is the perfect thing. The news has been published in many morning papers where they have put Krishna, the leader of Hare Krishna movement, the Hare Krishna movement. There is some vibration of the word Krishna. So this word is making the whole newspaper and the people who are reading the newspaper terrified. So never mind, even if whatever the content is, they are going to read the word Krishna, so that is great. Please open the article and tell me how many times the word Krishna has been written by this man in this article. So the devotee counted and he said 17 times. And then Prabhupada asked, how many people live in Melbourne? So the devotee said around 2 million people, they buy this newspaper and they read. So Shan Prabhupada said that means 17 multiplied by 2 million times. The chanting, the Hare Krishna mantra or the Krishna word has been chanted by people. That is our success.
Wow. Wow.
So this was the vision of Srila Prabhupada. Even if people looked at in a critical way, Prabhupada always took the positive side and he encouraged the devotees to continue teaching Krishna consciousness. So thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to recall these two pastimes of Srila Prabhupada. And all the best for all your preaching efforts and the programs going on under India Heritage Foundation, London. Thank you very much, Kalakanta Prabhu, and thank you all devotees for.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you very much for kindly joining and sharing this wonderful pastimes and message. We look forward to hear more from you.
Hare Krishna.
Yes. So on that note, let's proceed with chanting 108 times the Hare Krishna mantra, and And after that, if you have any questions or any comments that you'd like to discuss, then we can discuss after the chanting. So I'm sharing the screen for all of us to join Srila Prabhupada in chanting 108 times the Hare Krishna mantra, beginning with the Panchatattva mantra.
Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Radha Srivasadi Gaur Bhakti. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Ram
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Ram
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 Ram,
Ram
Hare
Hare Hare
Hare.
Hare
Hare
Krishna
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 Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare
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 Ram, Hare
Ram
Ram,
Hare
Ram
Ram
Ram,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare.
Hare Hare
Hare
Hare
Krishna
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 Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare
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 Ram,
Ram
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Ram
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 Ram,
Ram
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare
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 Krishna
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 Hare
Krishna
Hare.
Hare Hare
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Ram
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Ram
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 Ram,
Ram
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare
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 Krishna
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 Krishna Hare
Krishna
Hare.
Hare Hare
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Ram
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Ram
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 Ram, Hare
Ram
Hare.
Hare Hare
Hare
Hare
Krishna
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 Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare
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 Ram, Hare
Ram Hare
Ram,
Ram
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 Ram, Hare
Ram
Hare.
Hare Hare
Hare
Hare
Krishna
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 Krishna Hare
Krishna
Hare.
Hare Hare
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Ram
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Ram
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 Ram,
Ram
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare
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 Krishna
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 Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare
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 Ram,
Ram
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Ram
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 Ram,
Ram
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare Hare Krishna
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 Krishna Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare
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 Ram, Hare
Ram Hare
Ram,
Ram
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 Ram, Hare
Ram
Hare.
Hare Hare
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna Hare
Krishna
Hare.
Hare Hare
Hare
Hare
Ram, Hare
Ram Hare
Ram,
Ram
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 Ram,
Ram
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare
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 Krishna
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 Hare Hare.
Hare Hare
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Ram
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Ram
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 Ram, Hare
Ram
Hare.
Hare Hare
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna Hare
Krishna
Hare.
Hare Hare
Hare
Hare
Ram, Hare
Ram Hare
Ram,
Ram
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 Ram, Hare
Ram
Hare.
Hare Hare
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna Hare
Krishna
Hare.
Hare Hare
Hare
Hare
Ram, Hare
Ram Hare
Ram,
Ram
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 Ram, Hare
Ram
Hare.
Hare Hare
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Hare.
Hare Hare
Hare
Hare
Ram, Hare
Ram Hare
Ram,
Ram
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 Ram, Hare
Ram
Hare.
Hare Hare
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Hare.
Hare Hare
Hare
Hare
Ram, Hare
Ram Hare
Ram,
Ram
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 Ram, Hare
Ram
Hare.
Hare Hare.
So that was 108 times chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. If anybody has any questions, any comments, yes, Isha, please go ahead.
Yeah, Prabhuji, I do have a couple of questions.
Yeah, please.
So my first question is, so I think some of the people will claim about the past life regression therapy. I mean, they say like we can recall our past lifetime, like what we did, or the memories, or the sinful act, or whatever it is, and so that will build awareness in this current life. I don't know whether is it really right to do, or is it really possible through Krishna consciousness, or how is it? I don't know whether is it against the law of nature or law of Krishna, whatever. So that is my first question. Or can I ask the second one, or?
Yeah, go ahead. Okay, yeah.
Okay, that is my first question. And my second question is all about, is there any existence of evil spirit or ghost spirit? I mean, some people will say that if soul is not getting liberated or not getting the new body, then it will turn to ghost or whatever so they call. Right? Is it correct or not? I don't know. So that is one thing.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and then the third question I have is, say like if a person is Krishna conscious, then is it possible for him to know? Is it because he has not completed his journey he has not completed spiritual journey in the previous life? That's why he's being in this state or getting into the spiritual consciousness, or is it a fresh journey or a new journey altogether? Is it possible to know that? And then last, like it's somewhat related to my last question. Like, I mean, if someone passes away, we say that rest soul in peace. I mean, is it really a right term, or is it really a right phrase to call? Because soul is always peaceful, right? I mean, I don't know. Yeah, just wanted to ask.
Yeah, okay. So on the past life regression therapy, sometimes we hear about some psychologists, psychiatrists doing some therapies like this to help somebody come out of some disturbances. I mean, if it is helpful in any particular, I mean, whatever is helpful for say facing a particular situation at a given point in time is welcome. But as far as the its relevance on as the devotees who are practicing Krishna consciousness, sometimes we also can have mental health issues, and because of our past karma, it may be in various ways we can undergo bouts of depression or some illnesses. All of that is very much possible, and as a part of that, if something is required as an immediate measure, we do accept whatever comes, whatever is helpful at that point in time. But above and beyond all of that, a devotee has a very clear understanding that the process by which one can become freed from all of these reactions, because when we are undergoing some miserable experience, it is because of some sinful activity that we have done in the past, and every one of us are carrying a great baggage of karmic reactions with us, which is manifesting from time to time it is manifesting, and the stock may be such that for it to get exhausted, one has to take many thousands and thousands of lifetimes for it to become, the stock to become cleared, and meanwhile we are also acting and we are accumulating newer and newer karmic reactions. So right now, one particular sinful reaction may be manifesting in some form of disease, and I take some help for it. Tomorrow, another one will manifest. Again, there will be some suffering. Tomorrow, they will be suffering because of some break in relationship. Tomorrow, there will be some suffering due to some physical injury. Tomorrow, there will be some financial problem which will give you anxiety. So one or the other thing will keep coming again and again and again. So while we do take what measures can help us at that given point in time, suppose I have a fracture, and then I will go to the hospital, I'll have a plaster. So whatever is required for that, we will do the needful. But our focus is because we have a larger vision of why in the first place all these reactions are coming, is because of our forgetfulness of Krishna. A devotee is conscious what is the way by which one can very quickly clear himself of all the stock of reactions which I'm carrying, the baggage, because this is Krishna's assurance in the Bhagavad Gita. Aham tvam sarva papebhyo moksha isyami ma sucha. This is 18.66, where Krishna is saying that if you surrender unto me, what will be the result? Aham tvam sarva papebhyo, all your sinful reactions, I will round them off. Do not fear. Aham tvam sarva papebhyo moksha isyami ma sucha. I will give you relief. Don't worry. Krishna is giving this assurance. And it is only Krishna who can help a jiva to come out of cleanse himself of all the karmic reactions. So a devotee is very much aware of this fact. And while he's enduring the suffering that is unfolding because of his past activities of this life or the previous life, he is embracing Krishna consciousness. He's always engaged in rendering services to Krishna, chanting and hearing his holy names, hearing Krishna Katha, rendering services to Lord Krishna by serving his mission, which his devotees are pursuing. So in that way, as he's anxious to see that he remains attached to rendering service to Krishna more and more and more, despite all these momentary disturbances that will come and go. There will be ups and there will be downs, but my focus remains in every situation. I should somehow remain in Krishna consciousness. So by doing that, very quickly he becomes, because of his surrender to Krishna, Krishna takes charge of the devotee and he cleanses all the reactions of the devotee. He cleanses the devotee of all his baggage of sinful reactions and gives him the intelligence by which the devotee can very quickly he can overcome this cycle of birth and death and come back to Krishna and live eternally in the spiritual world with him and enjoy with him. So Krishna takes personal charge of the devotee who is endeavoring very sincerely and very seriously to remember him and to serve him. So while we are going through, there may be so many therapies, so many treatments which may have to take as a course of enduring so many momentary incidents that will come and go. But a devotee never loses sight of his ultimate goal and the ultimate medicine. Bhavaushadi shotra manobirama nivritta tarshair upagiyamanat bhavaushadi. Bhavaushadi means this is the medicine for our material disease. So this Krishna consciousness is the medicine, is a super drug which will help us to overcome all our suffering. So that is something a devotee keeps in mind. And
yeah, but Prabhuji, is it possible to do past life regression through Krishna consciousness?
through Krishna consciousness, doing past life regression, I'm not aware if
Okay.
those who are a self-realized soul, a person who is on the position of an acharya, he can tell very that in this past life, this person was this and this. He was like this. Like when Prabhupada made a visit to one place where the devotees were looking at buying a property for a new temple, and there was one tree which was like coming very close, and it had its twigs intertwined. It was very close to the building. And then Prabhupada remarked that the owner who built this house in his next life became this tree, and he's clinging on to the house because he was very attached to his house. But because he was sinful, he didn't get a human birth. He was born as a tree, and that tree is clinging on to the house because he was attached to the house. So like that, these observations they can make because they can see the soul's past, what were his activities that he has done in the past. These acharyas can say all those things. So they have given us a procedure by which we can overcome the effects of all our past, and we can clear off all our reactions by this process. So this is their prescription for our challenges, our problems. So it is up to us how we are serious to accept these instructions and make our life successful. What are these instructions? We have been discussing this in our sessions. Chanting of the holy names of the Lord, engaging in practical devotional service, hearing Krishna Katha, and so like this, there are this procedure. This is called sadhana. This is called sadhana. This is the medicine for purifying, for curing the disease of the soul. The soul is in Maya right now, identifying with the body and acting crazily. Does that help, Isha?
Yeah, Prabhuji.
So I'll come to your questions. You have 2-3 more questions. I'll come to that. Jyotiranjan, what is you have something to say?
Yeah, Prabhu. I just wanted to know about how Vrindavana was looking like before 6 Goswamis came and explored the area.
Yeah.
So how it was
Vrindavan
looking
was,
like, I don't know.
it was simply people had forgotten the exact locations of Krishna's pastimes, and it was simply it was all field, agricultural field. Without people do not know the significance and importance of different locations. It was just it was all agricultural field, and then the Goswamis they came and they said that this is actually Sham Kund, this is Radha Kund. Then they excavated many other places. This is the Kaliya Ghat. This is from where Krishna jumped into the Kaliya, into the river Yamuna. So like that, they were able to bring out the highlights. Otherwise, a large portion of that was forgotten. This is where Krishna was born, Janmasthan.
So
Like that.
before that, there was nothing, Prabhu. I mean, before Goswamis came, and the people over there were not aware that this is the Vrindavan, and they were living there since many years.
Yeah, to a large extent, people knew, but the details of different activities, different pastimes, they were all very hazy. Many things were forgotten.
Okay.
So, yeah. So those details were, it was the mission of these Goswamis, as entrusted by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that you go and excavate all these pastime places of Lord Krishna and establish temples glorifying Lord Krishna. And that is how they took it up as their life's mission.
So even Prabhu, I mean, this might be in some details, but Ramanujacharya, since that is in news right now, because that is being installed, the DT or DT is being a statue, they say, is being installed in Hyderabad. So even then, in Ramanujacharya's time also it was not there, or how it was, Prabhu, or how they take it?
Ramanujacharya was present 1,000 years back.
Mm-hmm.
So the Goswamis have come about 500 years back. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was present 500 years back. Ramanujacharya was 1,000 years back. So at that time, of course, they knew there is so that it's there itself. There is so much of gap, no. So they knew Vrindavan is Krishna's birthplace, Krishna's place where all the pastimes happened. Of course, that was all known. Vrindavan, Mathura, Yamuna, that was known. But the details was today what Vrindavan that we have, that is the gift of the Goswamis.
Yeah. Yeah, Prabhu.
Is that okay?
Yeah, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu.
All right. Yes. Isha, coming back to you. Isha, are you there?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yeah.
Yeah. So what is the next question that you had? It was about
existence of evil spirit or ghost spirit.
Yeah.
Is it true?
So yes. So this is so when somebody is engaged in a grievous sinful activity, as a punishment, that soul is not given a body, and that soul suffers in a subtle body without a gross body. So these they become the ghosts. So they do exist, and they, in order to fulfill their desires, they will try to enter into somebody's body and use their body and fulfill their desires. Usually, they will approach people who are spiritually very weak. So, so that is, if somebody is Krishna conscious, the ghosts will not come near them. The moment they hear the sounding of the holy names of the Lord, they will all flee. They will all go away. So there are many pastimes of how when Prabhupada visited Bhaktivedanta Manor, it was George Harrison's estate initially, and there were some buildings which were haunted by ghosts. And then the devotees, they performed Sankirtan, they performed Arati, and all the ghosts, they went away. So these things do exist. These are living entities who are very sinful. They do not get a gross body in the next life. So they hover and they cause disturbance.
So would they remain in that state forever, Prabhuji, or even they would get liberation, or they would get another body later on?
They will have to suffer for the period of time they're cleared of their reaction, and then they will be given a body. That is why that is why it is a custom that they do pinda, tarpanam. They offer during the Shraddha Paksha, they offer Vishnu Prasad to the forefathers. If any of the forefathers, if they are hovering as ghosts and they have not got a gross body, by the offering of the descendants, then by accepting the Vishnu Prasad, these suffering souls will be relieved of their suffering and they will be given a suitable body. So which is why it is people perform all these rituals. But for a devotee who is performing who is practicing Krishna consciousness, because this is the topmost yoga, Bhakti Yoga, automatically the forefathers and the near and dear ones who are afflicted with any such reactions are delivered because of somebody in their family who is become a devotee and is rendering service to Krishna. On the strength of that, they all get benefited. So it is a fact. These things all exist.
But Prabhuji, I think yeah, this reminds me one of the story in Puranas where Bhagirath will try to bring the Ganga onto the earth, isn't it? I mean, does it mean that his forefathers were not liberated? They were in this state, or how is it, Prabhuji?
Yeah, so they were in. I do not know the exact details of the descent of Mother Ganga and how the forefathers were in. They were in Pitraloka, but this is the understanding of how they get delivered when the descendants they offer prasad. They offer Vishnu prasad. So when you're offering Vishnu prasad, when this the forefathers they accept, they get relief. Yeah. So I'm not able to comment on the exact details of the incident. I think there are more questions. We can discuss some other time, Isha.
Yeah,
we are
not
also running out of time.
Sure, not a problem.
Okay.
Thank you.
Maybe for the you can reserve them for the next session.
Okay.
As we move forward.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhuji.
All right.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Jai. Haribol.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.